is a map of Indonesia. Up here is the Philippines. Down here is Australia. If you can find Australia, the big continent, just north of it, just briefly north of it, a little bit, you'll see the whole string of islands known as Indonesia. Over here is Irian Jaya, also known as Papua New Guinea. Here's East Timor, a string of islands here. Then the island of Java. Up here's Sulawesi, Kalimantan, also formerly known as Borneo. And then over here is Sumatra. Currently, we're in the city of Bandung, going through language school, and part of our language study requires us to learn about the people in the area and some of their beliefs and traditions and customs and culture, and some significant things about it is legends of the past. And so we visited a volcano to study some of the legends that the people here, it still influences a little bit of the thought, and so we went to Tangkuban Perahu, the volcano just north of where we're living, about 18 miles. Okay, here's the city of Bandung. We live on the northern city limits of Bandung on a road called Ciumbeluit right here. You can see the city of Bandung outlined in blue. We got on this road right here and we drove up, clear to up to this area right here where the active volcano Tangkuban Perahu can be located. We arrived here at the crater at Tangkuban Perahu at approximately 9:30 a.m. and we were very thankful that we did leave that early in the morning and arrive there, because before too long clouds started rolling in, blocking our view. It is quite common for it to happen almost every single day during the rainy season, for the skies to start getting dark, and lightning and thunder, and the rain starts right around noon every single day during the rainy season. You can almost set your clock by it. It'll rain sometimes for 2, 3, 4 hours. I've seen it even over 8 hours continual rainfall. You'll see down here in the bottom of this crater, water is beginning to accumulate there. It's quite common. Some of these volcanoes that are inactive, they actually fill up with water and they become huge lakes. One significant lake is Lake Toba, in northern part of the island of Sumatra. One of the most noticeable things you'll experience when you get there is the smell of sulfur that's in the air. It's not an overwhelming, noxious type of aroma that burns your nostrils and throat and lungs, but it is very noticeable. Undeniably, sulfur is in the air. You can see off in the distance there a single geyser, what looks like a single geyser emitting steam. Here's a shot from inside the second crater. It was a considerable hike down to this location, and I would advise anybody that might be physically challenged in any way not to take this hike down here, because on the way down I kept saying to myself, Chet, you're going to have to hike back up out of here again, and so I kept that kind of was always in the back of my mind, and sure enough, when I hike out, it was a real challenge. So if you're planning on going to Tangkuban Perahu and you're having struggles with your ankles, feet, hips or anything, do not go down to the second crater. In this second crater, you'll also experience the smell of sulfur that's in the air. I don't know how noxious this air was to us, but I just wanted to advise people that if you plan to come down into this crater, and if you happen to have asthma or any other type of a respiratory type of condition, it might be advisable that you not come into this area, because you also have to make a considerable hike down into this area, as well as, remember, you got to go back up too. There's no road that comes right down here that can just, conveniently get back into a vehicle and they can take you back out again. Here we are in the center of a volcano, having a picnic, a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Our
The bag
boiled
of chips.
and a bag of chips. And our boiled eggs will be here in a few minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, here's a friend of mine, Lars,
Howdy.
going to language school at the same time, and eating the egg that was boiled in a volcano, and it's starting to rain again. Phyllis, put an umbrella over that camera, please. Phyllis,
Phyllis, get the camera.
put an umbrella over the camera. Now get a little closer. Muzin Hujan.
Oh yeah.
It's a rainy season.
It rains all the time for no reason.
So here's the egg, boiled in a volcano. Tastes just like an egg in your pan at home. Once in this second crater, you'll recognize that there's a lot of little small geysers all over the place, emitting steam, kind of bubbling up water all over the place, which is quite normal. There is also some locations where hot air will be blowing out. You might not be able to see it. So you just got to be careful when you're walking around because this air will be blowing out on your legs. So just caution needs to be exercised in that regard. And also, I was quite concerned because I noticed that the ground under my feet was a little bit unstable at times. It felt like it was really soft, and I was quite concerned about where my next step might lead me.
Down to the second crater was about 1 mile, and even though it was downhill, it was still a workout, let's say. The paths weren't very clear, and it was slippery because it had been raining, so we had to use caution. The hike out of this crater was more difficult than the hike down because it was all uphill, and it had started raining. And so we had to hike all the way back up in the rain, which made it slippery, and it was muddy. And we ended up taking a wrong path, and the path kept getting narrower and narrower, and there was like big trees in the way, and we had to climb over them without falling in the mud. And just as we was about ready to turn around and go back, we saw a clearing, and so we was able to find our way out. As you're looking at these pictures, you're probably seeing me smiling in some of them, but I have to confess, I was not a happy hiker. You know the old saying, she's not a happy camper? Well, I wasn't a happy hiker that day because it had been raining and so it was muddy and I was tired and hot, but looking back, it was a good learning experience, and I learned about the legend associated with this volcano and how it still has some effect on the culture around here.